This is Luxembourg. It's Europe's 7th smallest country and has a tiny population of just approximately 670,000 people. It seems like an insignificant country, but what they're dominating in is wealth. Luxembourg has the highest GDP per capita in the world. How did it get this rich? Why is this tiny country the richest in the world? Let me explain. 200 years ago, Luxembourg was essentially an agricultural country and was not as wealthy as some of its other neighbors. The vast majority of its inhabitants were peasants, and agriculture was the foundation of all other economic activities in the country. But Luxembourg's trajectory changed with the discovery of iron ore deposits during the early 1840s. This, together with the adoption of advanced steel-making techniques like the Thomas press, allowed Luxembourg to produce high-quality steel. By the early 1900s, the steel industry had become the backbone of the economy, contributing massively to its GDP. In fact, by the mid-20th century, the industry accounted for nearly a third of Luxembourg's GDP. However, the reliance on steel wasn't sustainable. The global steel crisis of the 1970s hit Luxembourg hard, leading to the decline of the industry. But Luxembourg didn't seem to be as affected by it. Instead, it pivoted. Even though Luxembourg is still currently home to the second largest steel manufacturing company in the world, this pivot away from steel was crucial to its future prosperity and why it's in the position it is in nowadays. And what did it pivot to? Finance. Luxembourg's journey into finance started as early as 1929, with laws that established advantageous conditions for holding companies, firms that manage other companies' assets. These companies were taxed minimally or not at all on their profits, dividends, and interest. And this favorable tax environment attracted international businesses and wealthy individuals, enabling them to manage and protect their assets with significant tax advantages. While the initial impact was modest due to the global economic crisis, the system laid the foundation for what was to come later. And it was in the 1960s that Luxembourg made its real breakthrough by becoming a leader in the Eurobond market, attracting global banks and investors. By the 1980s, the financial sector had become the cornerstone of Luxembourg's economy. Its ability to continuously adapt to new markets such as private banking, asset management, and later financial technology only solidified its reputation as a global financial center. Today, Luxembourg is the largest investment fund center in Europe and the second largest in the world after the US. Luxembourg's financial advantage becomes even more obvious when you start to look at where it is located in Europe. Positioned close to major financial hubs like Frankfurt, Paris, London, and Zurich, Luxembourg offers international banks and investors easy access to Europe's most important markets. And what helps sweeten the deal for investors is that Luxembourg is a politically and economically stable country. Its well-established rule of law, low crime rates, and consistent government policies create a sense of long-term predictability, which is highly appealing to countries seeking a stable base for their European operations. But it's not only the country's central location and stability that makes Luxembourg a natural choice for multinational corporations. What also attracts companies to Luxembourg are the taxes. Even though on paper the personal and corporate income tax rates are normal, many companies have managed to enter agreements with Luxembourg to reduce their tax rate to under 1%. It's for this reason that you see companies like Amazon and Vodafone establish their headquarters in Luxembourg. While Luxembourg has faced pressure to increase transparency and tighten its tax rules, particularly after scandals like the LuxLeaks, it has adapted by becoming a hub for specialized financial services such as Islamic finance and green finance. And these niches have helped the country remain competitive in the global financial landscape. Clearly, Luxembourg has put itself in a position where it seems that it being rich is almost inevitable. But there are so many other countries that are similar in the fact that they're tax havens or have countless multinational companies establishing their headquarters or business there. What makes Luxembourg the richest country? Well, this has to do with the way wealth is measured. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned the metric GDP per capita, which is commonly used to measure value in a country, but this metric is flawed. Many people confuse GDP per capita to be the same as average income per person, but that's not the case. GDP, which stands for Gross Domestic Product, measures the market value of goods and services a country produces. The per capita part means that this total value is divided by the country's population. And what's really interesting is that Luxembourg's tax haven status really impacts this GDP figure. Businesses funnel their profits through Luxembourg in order to pay less taxes, which registers as value produced in Luxembourg, inflating the GDP figure without that wealth necessarily staying in the country. And what inflates the GDP per capita even more is that Luxembourg has a tiny population. In fact, there are over 200,000 people who work in Luxembourg, so contribute to the economy, but live across the border, so they aren't counted in the population figures used to calculate GDP per capita. What's interesting to note is that this influx of cross-border workers has helped sustain the country's rapid economic growth without the challenges that come with a rapidly growing resident population. This combination of factors leads to an artificially high GDP per capita that doesn't fully represent the wealth Luxembourg sees. So, is Luxembourg actually rich? The short answer, yes. Luxembourg consistently ranks as one of the best places to live in terms of quality of life, social security, and public services. The country has one of the highest standards of living globally, and its citizens enjoy universal healthcare, high wages, and a good education system. In fact, the country boasts the highest minimum wage rate in Europe. As of January 2024, Luxembourg's minimum wage is an astounding 2,571 euros per month, which is around $2,860 US. The wealth of the country is also reflected in its infrastructure. Luxembourg has well-maintained roads, and public transport is completely free throughout the whole country. Luxembourg's wealth has also made it one of the most cosmopolitan countries in Europe. Nearly half of its population consists of foreign nationals, with large communities of Portuguese, French, and Belgian citizens, as well as European civil servants who work in the various EU institutions based in the country. This diversity has added to Luxembourg's cultural richness and global outlook, making it a unique blend of local tradition and international influence. It's truly an impressive country, and it gives us a few valuable lessons for business. One of the key takeaways from Luxembourg's story is the power of adaptation. When the steel industry declined in the 1970s, Luxembourg didn't wait for the economy to crumble. Instead, it swiftly diversified into finance and other industries. This willingness to adapt and innovate is essential for any business to survive long term. Luxembourg also leveraged what it already had, its unique position in Europe. They didn't get rich just by having favorable tax laws. Luxembourg also offered stability, expertise, and access to the broader European market. Strategic positioning is crucial when it comes to competition, and a good positioning can really make a big difference. For a business, positioning is key to finding a competitive advantage in the market and being able to offer what nobody else can offer. As Luxembourg continues to evolve, adapt, and grow, the case study for this small but rich country becomes more interesting to learn from. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to subscribe. It helps the channel out a lot, and YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video too. See you next time.